Hey guys, Calendros here. So we've got a song now that this one is not one I would have ever picked. I don't know this band at all. This was a request. Um, we were hanging out after a, a fireside at Vin and Sword Channel, and I had asked uh, uh, Jen for a suggestion, and this is one that she threw out. So, don't know anything about these guys. I'm assuming it's a female-fronted band or a solo female act or something. So we'll see. Hopefully, now I could not find a non-official song. So I'm going to react to the official video but not show the video. Hopefully it doesn't get me blocked. We'll just have to see. If not, then we'll have to do a different song. So this song is called Scrape by Chelsea Wolfe. So let's see what we got. Interesting. Um, hmm. It wasn't what I was expecting, and I didn't know what I was expecting, so that's saying something. Um, it kind of reminded me a little bit of, like, in some ways, vocally speaking, it reminded me a little bit of in this moment at parts, but nowhere near as annoying. Because I don't like Maria Briggs' vocals at all. But this was not. I don't know. It didn't have some of the weirdness that in this moment has in their stuff for me. I don't know. It also reminded me at various points of like PJ Harvey for some reason. Some of the sort of like almost low key ambient stuff that was going on. I liked a lot. I actually liked the drumming all throughout. I love that sort of tribal drum beat, and this one definitely has that all throughout the song. But it's interesting because it does. The song has very defined rising action, so to speak, to use a literary term, where like there's parts of the song where like it'll just sort of build and build and build and build and build, and the drums were kind of driving that. I noticed. At around 1:40, I think. I really liked that whole part, both vocally. I love the sort of like sinister guitar riff that was going on underneath that, and that she sort of dropped back down. I really like her lower register voice a lot, and she sort of dropped back down into that a little bit. Wasn't as much of a fan of the ending, because her what's the word? I don't know. Like the lyrics kind of got very like sort of sludgy and run together when she was like way up at the top of her register like that. But that was pretty much it's a very short song, so I have no idea what style you would classify this as. So Jen, if you see this, love for you to let me know what this is considered. I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't like, I don't know that it's something that I would like listen to like regularly, but like maybe if I'm in a certain sort of mood and I'm trying to evoke something, or like a lot of times if I'm writing, like I'll use music as sort of a jumping off point. Now typically it tends to be like power metal, because most of the time when I'm writing stuff, it's like, it's stuff for my D&D campaign and stuff like that. So when I'm doing story stuff for that, it tends to be, like Winter Sun or, power metal. I like instrumental stuff actually for that, because my ADD tends to zero in on like lyrics and stuff when they're there, or if I can't understand what the lyrics are, it sort of drives me nuts, which I think is what bothered me about the end. It's interesting because it took me many, many, many years to get past that issue with extreme metal, like not being able to understand what was being said in black metal, death metal. It wasn't the sound that bothered me, it was the fact that I couldn't understand what was being said. Even though I don't even pay attention to lyrics, it was a mental like block where I just couldn't get past it. And then eventually, I think what happened was when I heard Death, when I heard Sound of Perseverance, I could understand what he was saying, even though it was extreme metal. And from there, I sort of really started to love that vocal style. And then I guess was able to sort of turn off my, OCD when it comes to trying to figure out like what's being said in a song. So sort of went off on a tangent there, but like musically, this was very interesting because it was very sparse, very sinister, very creepy. Um, and but the tribal drumming part was just really cool. It struck me right from the very beginning, and really kind of stuck around through the whole song. So I really enjoyed that part. Um, yeah, I don't like I said, I don't know a ton about the band, so I don't know really their context or history, but I do have lyrics for the song. So let's take a look at the lyrics real quick. Okay. So you were the summer, you were the coma, you were the only one. It was so quiet. And then you came around, and all the hiss of unknown turned lifeless and commonplace. I have an idea of what this might be, but let's do the whole lyrics and see if we can get a clearer picture. You carrier, you'll never see what came undone, what you took from me. Can you hear them rats in the walls? They remind me together of who we were. I don't need your help or your hindrance. You stay the fuck away from me. You said it's been so long, I'm all alone. Hear the scratch of the rats in the walls. Let me hear, said, hold my hand. A young nymph defiled then. My body fights itself inside. I feel it bow, this mortal hold. You carrier, you repulse me. Heard the sound of her knees scrape against the street. You, the dirty one, what you took from me. There was nothing left but hypocrisy, holy odium, blotted memory, but my regret will never consume me. The ocean's licking tongue, a letting of the blood, a vile prophecy, scrape it out of me. This is the last, that last verse is both very evocative and very weird. It's interesting. This song seems to me to be about. It sounds like it's about like a rape experience. To be honest with you, some of the verbiage is interesting because it says you. She describes this person as a carrier, which is an interesting terminology because like a carrier is like in terms of like microbiology, right? Like they talk about like patient zero as like the carrier for a virus, right? So it's interesting that that particular phrase, and she uses it multiple times. So like in my experience, like when it comes to like lyrics and stuff, if something is repeated multiple times, like a particular word or phrase, they're really trying to stress significance to that particular thing. It was so quiet, and then you came around. It sounds like, and then she says nymph defiled. So it almost sounds like it's, and I don't know whether or not this is like a personal experience thing or just like a story thing, but this almost sounds like she was like a virgin, right? Because some of the lyrical imagery sort of leans in that direction. It was so quiet, and then you came around. She says, what came undone, what you took from me. It's interesting because that line, what you took from me, is actually a line, and I think in a very similar context that's used in the song Idioglossia by Pain and Salvation. And like in that song, I think it's more, I think it's about sexual abuse it, in a more of a, and as creepy and terrible as it sounds, I think is more of a parent to a child in the case of idioglassia, which is horrific. But this is equally disturbing because I think it's just it sounds like it's a rape situation, like a maybe it was a relationship that was sort of like a first time relationship thing, and and like the line, I actually love this line where she says, "Rats in the walls remind her of their relationship," which is like, it's something creepy and sinister hiding behind like a facade, which I think is what she was trying to reference. Maybe this creep, was like, presenting himself to be like, somebody like or a person of power. It could actually be a very similar situation to idioglassia, right, where it's like a parental figure or teacher or something like that, somebody who has a position of power, and are hiding their like horrific behavior behind this wall, And in this line, "It's been so long, I'm all alone," where like, and this is kind of one of those things where there are circumstances where, like for this one, it may have been not necessarily I think it's one of those situations where it's a clear cut violation, but the person who perpetrated it doesn't think they did anything wrong, which is, incredibly common in like, because, freaking guys nowadays just are just not taught properly. They don't know how to like read basic situations. It seems like it's mind blowing to me, but this seems like it's so common nowadays, where they just don't know how to react to situations they don't understand. Like, I remember there was the situation with the comedian, and I can't remember his name, and the girl talked about like how like it wasn't maybe necessarily like a straight up like rape situation, but she had just gone completely numb. And how do guys not notice and react to that? It's mind-boggling to me. But I guess perhaps a lot of that comes down to maybe how you were raised. But like, I don't know, it blows my mind. And then, these guys, they don't think they've done anything wrong, and they come back and they're like, "Oh, I miss you, I'm so alone, come back." And I think that's kind of what she's talking about here, and then she says, "Hear the scratch of the rat in the wall," which is like, this guy who just doesn't get it, like, and it's this horrific behavior hiding behind this wall of, "Oh, I miss you so much." Let me hear, said, "Hold my hand." Yeah, see, a young nymph defiled then. So this certainly seems like it was a first love or type situation for her, for the protagonist in this story. Body fights itself inside is a line you hear all the time, because like, when it comes to situations of rape, they always talk about how, both guys and girls, when, will use the excuse of, "Oh, they wanted it, and it's just, I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it and too crass, but I mean, it's when you hear it all the time, like some of these female teachers, right, with young guys, right, young men in the classroom, and the argument is that, oh, it's a guy, he's gonna get a hard on and it's gonna happen, right? So I mean, but that's you're ignoring basic biology, right? That doesn't mean that the person wants it, right? So it's a mental and physical disconnect, and I think that's what it sounds like that's what she's describing right here. Her body is fighting itself, like her mind is saying no, and her body is doing what it does. So it's, I mean, like, this is one of those things where you hear it all the time talked about. And then the last one. This last verse is tough because there's a lot of imagery here I don't understand. There's some religious stuff that I don't have a point of reference for, I think, maybe. You repulsed me, heard the sound of her knees against the street. This is a really weird one because that's almost like, that doesn't jive with the rest of what I was thinking, which was more of a personal relationship that developed into sort of a like an unwanted sexual assault situation, like where the knees straight against the street thing sounds more like a rape, like somebody grabs someone on the street and just rapes them in an alley. You the dirty one, what you took from me. There was nothing left but hypocrisy. This almost sounds like it's something almost in a way talking about like prostitution, maybe. It's really weird. This line, those three lines don't really fit, at least with what I'm putting together as the story here in my mind. Holy odium, blotted memory. See, I've got nothing on that one. My regret will never consume me. So this last stanza, again, there's some stuff in here that I don't know, that's beyond I'm not good at breaking down lyrics. This last bit is almost like maybe her, trying to move past it, right? My regret will never consume me, scrape it out of me, I think is just as her way of trying to get past whatever happened here. So, yeah, very interesting song lyrically speaking. Actually bumps it up, a couple points for me. I'm gonna give this one an 8. I was gonna give it a 7, but lyrically, it's very interesting, and I think it says a lot of important stuff. So, yeah, I think I'll go with an 8 on this one. Not necessarily my style of music either, but very interesting nonetheless, and probably something I will revisit at some point when I'm in a particular state of mind for something, or trying to get in the head of a character or something if I'm writing. So, yeah, that's it for me. This was. I hope I did a good. I hope I did a good job with this one, Jen. I tried. This is not. I don't know this band very well at all, and lyrical dissection is not really my strong suit. So hopefully this was halfway decent. But if this was terrible, there's some more musical related breakdowns coming tomorrow with Offenhammer. If you've never heard of Offenhammer, awesome band. So look towards that one. And I forget what else was on the list. There's another one for for tomorrow. Oh, Therian, which we've done. Oh no, I'm sorry, Unleash the Archers, which we've not done an Unleash the Archers song yet, even though they're one of my favorite bands. So that one will be cool. And we're doing my favorite song from that album, which was the album closer. A very Iron Maiden inspired song. So, all right, that's it, guys. Have a good one. Stay metal. Calendros out.